Rome wasn't built in a day, and it didn't fall in a day either. Over 70 Roman emperors left a significant mark on the empire. The Roman Empire was a beacon of civilization, known for its art, culture, and military prowess. However, it also witnessed power struggles and tales of ambition and betrayal, often caused by its rulers, the emperors. Some emperors were hailed as heroes, driving Rome towards peace and progress, expanding territories, and implementing policies that improved life quality. Their contributions echo through history. However, others were notorious for their lack of regard for the empire's welfare. These rulers led Rome into periods of darkness and despair rather than a golden age. Among them were Commodus, Elagabalus, and Nero. These names are etched in history not for their benevolent deeds, but for chaos and calamity that marked their reign. Their actions tarnished the golden image of the empire, casting a shadow over its glorious past. They serve as a reminder that power, when wielded carelessly, can lead to the downfall of even the greatest of civilizations. Today, we delve into the darkness of Rome's history and uncover the tales of what, in my opinion, were the 3 worst Roman emperors. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but in this case, that couldn't be any further than the truth. Marcus Aurelius, the example of a great ruler, was contrasted by his son Commodus. Unlike his father, Commodus was a self-indulgent ruler who often shirked his responsibilities. Ascending the throne in 180 AD at around the age of 18, he prioritized his personal pleasures over the governance of Rome. Commodus, during his reign, neglected his responsibilities as a ruler by wrongfully wanting to do what he wanted instead of what he should have for the sake of his people. Famously, his love for playing gladiator was known to all, often overshadowing his administrative responsibilities. To win his fights as a gladiator, he would often pit himself against weak and disabled opponents, deriving sadistic pleasure from their suffering. His love for violence extended to animals as well, reportedly killing hundreds of dangerous animals in the arena, according to the early Roman historian Dio Cassius. This was said to include bears, hippopotamuses, elephants, rhinoceroses, and randomly enough, even a giraffe. As you can imagine, these reportings were often exaggerated, and even with the animals he went up against, they were presumed to be poisoned, so he had the advantage. His delusions turned reality were not limited to this. The mentally ill man went as far as believing himself to be Hercules reincarnate, having made statues in his image as Hercules, desperately hoping Rome would perceive him as such a god, which in reality he was just a horrible leader that gave his work to his lieutenants that he trusted. That is, till he couldn't trust them anymore, and would often have them killed for the slightest doubt in his mind. Following a devastating fire in 191 AD, he even wished to rename Rome after himself to Colonia Commodiana, colony of Commodus. This obviously did not sit well with the populace. This blatant disregard for tradition and the welfare of his people sparked numerous assassination attempts, including one by his own sister. The Roman elite were appalled by his behavior, viewing it as a gross misuse of power and a disgrace to the glory of Rome. His rampant self-indulgence, cruelty, and delusions of grandeur led to his assassination by high-ranking officials. His rule is a stark reminder of the excesses and cruelties that can come with unchecked power. Next, we have Elagabalus, a 14-year-old boy who showed little interest in government, focusing instead on his offset religious ways and other eccentric things he had fondness for. Elagabalus was not a self-made emperor. He was the pawn of his family. Originally, the young boy had a different name, Varius Avitus Bassianus. To put it simply, his grandmother, Julia Maesa, was a cunning woman that managed to sway the troops to her side with bribes, placing her grandson on the throne, most notably by claiming that Bassianus was the illegitimate son of the previous emperor, Caracalla. Subsequently, he became emperor around the year 218. Bassianus was then renamed after the god he fervently worshipped, Elagabal, hence his new name, Elagabalus. Elagabalus's life was deeply intertwined with religion. He was so devoted to his deity, Baal, that he brought a conical black rock to Rome, believing it to be a physical representation of his god. His religious zeal also manifested in engaging in ritual sacrifices and dances, often neglecting his official duties. He was a strange character, to say the least. The 14-year-old emperor derived pleasure from entertaining himself and leveraging his authority to issue absurd directives to his staff, often abusing his power in the process. For example, he would on certain occasions deliberately unleash venomous snakes into the audience at the Circus Maximus. Also, he would have his chariot pulled by lions, dogs, or even occasionally by naked women. Elagabalus flouted social norms in regards to marriage. He shocked Rome by marrying a Vestal virgin, which were priestess sworn to chastity. They were a big deal in Rome at the time, in which, despite living in a patriarchal society, they were granted privileges that were unimaginable for other women in ancient Rome. For example, they could own property, vote, and write a will. With all that in mind, that didn't stop Elagabalus from divorcing her. He then had the audacity to remarry her, testing the limits of societal conventions. His reign saw a blend of religious fervor and eccentric behavior. Known for his unconventional edicts and lavish feasts, Elagabalus became a talking point in Rome. Despite his young age and manipulation by his grandmother, his reign was short. When Julia Maesa realized she could no longer control her grandson's conduct, she turned on her grandson. Coincidentally, she turned to her other grandson, Severus Alexander. Somehow she convinced Elagabalus to adopt Severus as his heir. After realizing that he made a wrong decision, he became fearful of losing his throne. Elagabalus tried to win over the Praetorian Guard with bribes, intending to murder his new heir. But they retaliated, with Elagabalus and his mother meeting a grisly end. Their bodies dragged through the streets and cast into the Tiber, a fate for Rome's most hated. Elagabalus's reign, marked by his extreme religious devotion and bizarre behavior, is widely regarded as the worst in Roman history. Now I saved the best, or should I say worst, for last. Nero is known for his cruelty and debauchery, ruling Rome from the tender age of 16 until his death at 30, from the years 54 to 68. There is so much to cover on Nero it is hard to summarize, but if you'd like a full video analysis on him, comment down below and please like the video. Ascending the throne as the last of the illustrious Julio-Claudian dynasty, Nero's governance was fraught with conflict. His rise to power was strongly influenced by his mother Agrippina, a woman of remarkable ambition. Despite her significant role in his rise to power, their relationship was charged with conflict, ultimately resulting in accusations of Nero orchestrating her death. Nero's personal life mirrored his tumultuous rule. Claudia Octavia was the stepsister of Nero, after Julia Agrippina, Nero's mother, married her father. Later, Octavia and Nero became united in marriage, which was arranged by Agrippina. Octavia was popular with the people of Rome, but both her and Nero had disdain between their marriage. When his mistress, Poppaea Sabina, became pregnant, he divorced and banished Octavia. When this led to a public outcry, he had her executed. Nero's most infamous deed was the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, which, as per rumors, he allegedly started a big fire in Rome to intentionally make room for his ambitious construction endeavors. Interesting enough, after the fire, Nero did begin construction of a magnificent and opulent palace called the Domus Aurea, or Golden Palace, some remnants of which are accessible to visitors even today. Nero attempted to shift the blame to the Christians, later leading him to begin a mass persecution, in which he earned the title and reputation of the Antichrist in early Christian tradition. His rule witnessed rebellion too, with the most significant one led by Queen Boudica during the years of 60 through 61. However, these accounts should be viewed with caution, as many were penned by historians seeking to validate the succeeding Flavian dynasty. This bias could potentially portray Nero in an overly negative light. Although some accounts may be prejudiced, Nero's brutality, indulgence, and the resultant disorder during his reign have permanently marred his image. This has led him to be remembered as one of the worst Roman emperors. Despite this, it is essential to remember that the historians telling his story may have had their own agendas, potentially skewing the narrative. His reign was undoubtedly turbulent, marked by personal conflict, societal rebellion, and widespread destruction. Nevertheless, the full scope and truth of his reign may always remain a subject of debate among historians. While some accounts of Nero's rule may be biased, his cruelty, debauchery, and the chaos during his reign have forever tainted his image, earning him a place among the worst Roman emperors. That, in my opinion, are my worst 3 Roman emperors. I'd like to think that each in their unique ways contributed to the fall of the great Roman Empire. These 3 emperors, with their decisions and actions, impacted the Roman Empire negatively. Their reigns were times of decline, with their neglect of duties, bizarre behavior, and cruel acts prompting unrest and rebellion. Their reigns serve as a stark reminder of how power, when unchecked, can lead to the downfall of even the mightiest of empires. If you like this content and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Thank you for watching, and Semper Custodiant Lucem.